will be able to get there. Obviously, we have a lot of guys that, difficult choices. Well, one of the most difficult, of course, was not taking any of the Magnolia players because I had a lot of, relationships with them, and there's such, you look at all the. We also decided not to take the young players. If you notice, there's no Bolick or Perez or Bobby Parks, or we decided to go with a veteran group again because, and this is not always the truth, but generally veterans are easier to coach in the short term and pick up things faster than young guys. And so, again, this is all about speed and efficiency that we're trying to do. So I know that guys like Bolick and Perez had a great thing. But we just decided that we would go. Once we decided we were going to take 6 and ever players, we decided we'd go with a veteran group. And I know there's always going to be questions of why wasn't this guy, why wasn't that guy, and I can't go through every reason, but it was just trying to find a balance in terms of position and trying to fit all the pieces of the puzzle together. That was what we tried to do with this list. We didn't go for all shooters, we didn't go for all power players or all slashers. We tried to find a balance in which we could show different lineups. We can play big if we want to play big, we can play small if we want to play small. We can play across the board, all similar heights if we want to. So it was really looking for a versatile lineup. And I tell you what, if you have 10 coaches, and we did this actually with my staff, we sat down and looked at all the list, and then I asked, like, Richard, you pick your 12, and I said, Olson, you pick your 12, and Coach Kirk, you pick your 12, and all the way down, and we came out with a list, and they were all different. So, I mean, it's really from the perspective of, your individual perspective. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of talk, but, there's only so many people we could take, and only people we could take in the short term. So, I wish we could kind of have real, true tryouts, but we won't be able to do that.
Coach, how do you like the idea of coaching Junmar, Troy, Christian, Pogoy?
Yeah, I've never coached Junmar.
Jayson.
Ironically, I've never coached Junmar. I've always coached against him, even in I'm talking about All-Star games. I'm always on the other side of Junmar. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about having Greg and Junmar together. I think the way Greg is playing now, and I think he can be a real help, especially in the Southeast Asian game. But and Standhardinger, we're hoping he's healthy. He's one of the big question marks. He's having a knee issue at the moment, so we're hoping he can be healthy. But as many of you know, I'm sure Denzel Bowles is the the naturalized player for Indonesia, and so getting an import stopper, putting an import stopper on the team was very important, and that's why Christian is a real question mark, but a real important player for us to have, because we've seen him go out and play Terrence Jones and other big guys, and so he'd be very valuable for us to have.
Coach, speaking of Denzel, was the competition in the SEA Games, specifically Denzel in Indonesia, a factor for you choosing a veteran and balance?
Yes, because it's not a slam dunk. The region is growing. We were talking about Indonesia. Remember, they're the co-host of the World Championships coming up, and they don't have the automatic berth into the like the Philippines does. They don't have the automatic berth, so they have to showcase themselves over this tournament and in the Asian Games to show that they're worthy to get the hosting exemption, and because they haven't been guaranteed. So they're really trying to build their program. They're really trying to showcase themselves to the FIBA world, and so we expect them to really come. And we all know Raiko Toteman. We all know how great a coach he is. So, and then last Southeast Asia Games, we had a lot of trouble with Thailand. We barely beat Thailand. So again, groups are growing up. So we want to bring our pro players. We try to bring our best players, and we don't want to leave anything to chance. And I was making a joke in the boardroom that I just wish I had Justin Brownlee as a naturalized player for us. But no time to do that. Cy Young. I feel very comfortable if I had Justin.
Coach, so where did the bring under
that wasn't discussed. That wasn't an offer to me, so his name was not brought up. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm the one capable of answering that question. It was not an option given to me.
Coach, how do you feel having at least this specific names of players given to you and the plans being concrete at this point? How do you feel at this point? You know, you have the players and the plans are concrete now.
It's a tall order only because we talk about preparation a lot, and I think we over talk about preparation. But that's also because we're always making changes in the national team. We change the coaches, we change the players, and so every time you do that, you have to start from ground zero and start forward because nobody has experiences with each other. You have to teach a new system, whether it be defense or offense. Obviously, I coach much differently from Chuck Reyes than I do from Yang Yao, than I do from Norman Black. We all have our different philosophies. Tab Baldwin, Ron Jacobs in the old days. We all have our different philosophies. So, whenever you change the coach, it's about teaching all over again. And so now I'm starting from ground zero. But the good news is I've got 6 of my Ginebra players, and that was why we did this, so that the teaching will be minimal or less lengthy, I guess. And I also have models in which the other players can watch. And I can't overstate how important that is when you have a really short time to work together and practice. To me, I've been talking to the SBP, and not about we need time to prepare. What we need is time. We need continuity. The preparation should come in the tournament itself, not before the tournament. Because once you've played one tournament, then you go on to another tournament, you go on to another tournament. That's your preparation. You prepare, or you create chemistry and develop a team through winning and losing, not through practice. Practice, all you do is teach your system, but you actually create a chemistry and you develop players and develop the togetherness through winning and losing. And that you only do through tournaments. So the idea is that you keep the same core and you play Southeast Asia games. And you play the same core and you play the qualifiers. And you same core, you play the Asian games. The same core, maybe the Jones Cup. But you keep playing as many tournaments. Those tournaments and those qualifiers will grow your team. Because oftentimes preparation, before a conference, or I may say, I'm taking this long, sorry. You may not want to, but before a conference, I want 2 weeks of practice, 2 to 3 weeks of practice, not because I have to teach my players a new system. They already know the system, right? So I don't have to teach them. All I have to do is get them in shape. That's my thing. Get them in shape, get them in shape, get them in shape. Maybe tweak a little bit here, tweak a little bit there, and then we're ready to go. But if I have a brand new team, now I have to teach them how we're going to run this screen or that screen, what play we're going to run, our out of bounds plays. And I need time to do that. And I also need to impart our philosophy of how we play. And that comes from talking and watching video and such. But again, if I come into my second conference, all I need is 2 weeks to get guys in shape. So if I don't want to say but if a guy is continually coaching the national team, then he only needs because he doesn't have to get his players in shape because they're in shape because of their ongoing with their season, right? So that's out of the window. You don't have to worry about that. So it's just about teaching originally your system, and then once after that, it's just kind of short reviews, come together, and then you learn together how to win. If you lose in a tournament, every time you lose, you learn. Every time you win, you learn. So it's a learning process you'll learn about your teammate when you have 3 minutes to go in a game, and you're playing, Kazakhstan or something like that. How does he react? You really find out. How does he react, in terms of preparation the night before? Is he going out? Is he staying home? Is he focused? Those are the things you learn in the tournament proper. You won't learn that in practice. So, again, I'm just saying preparation is a little overrated, but continuity is really a key in terms of program. Now that all goes out the window because this situation is completely different, and hopefully not to be repeated a second or third time. Where you only have like eight practices to prepare, but we'll do our best, and I think we can do well because again we have that core of inevitable players. That's something we can always fall back on and rely on. But I mean, you add Junmar there, you add Jayson there, you add RR there, Troy and Matthew Wright. Suddenly that Never team looks pretty darn good, and we're going to put a good Never team together.
Coach, how about Jayson? Was it difficult for him? Was it difficult to convince him to come back or to do
I from what I understand, it was supposed to be me that was going to ask him because we knew that he retired, but the board wanted to know right away. So Mr. Vargas called him and said, "We'd like you to unretire, and come back and play in the Asian Games." And he said right away, "Yeah, I'll do it. And then Marcio Lassiter's on we were wondering about Marcio because he's coming off a major injury, and we gave him a call also in the board. Al Francis Chula called him while we were in the boardroom, and Marcio said right away, "I'll do it." So guys are willing. Guys want to be there, and the joke we were having while we were selecting the players is that it's so easy to add on players. It's really hard to eliminate players. It's so hard to eliminate because you see all these names and you go, "Oh God, yes, I want him. Oh wait, I can't. Oh yes, I want him." And it's just really hard to eliminate guys. So getting down to that 15 was really hard. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in another month or so. I had to go down to 12. I mean, who would you take out of those 12? Who's three? And every time you want to add a name, let me just say to the public that every time you think somebody should be there, remember somebody has to be taken off. So if you want to add, a Paul Lee, then you're going to have to take out a point guard, Jayson Castro, or Tenorio, which can't be because I need him for Inebra. I need him for he can help me coach and teach everybody else. So it's really hard. It's easy to put names on. It's really hard to pull names off.
Coach, Vic Manuel will finally be wearing the Philippine jersey.
Yeah, I'm excited about Vic. I think Vic will. I don't want to go through every player, but I'm excited about Vic because I think Vic would be a dominant player in the Southeast Asian level. He'll be able to take guys down in. He's got that sweet jump shot. There was a reason why we put him in there, and he's tough-minded, and he can intimidate people. And we also thought about Bobelga because we like that physical guy that would come out there and set a tone for us and such. But again, it was like, okay, we put Bo in to take Japeth out or Standhardinger out, and it was difficult. But yeah, Vic was one of my personal choices. I think that he'll do really well in that level of play. Whether he could go out and bang on Jokic, in Serbia, that's another question. But he can go and bang on in Southeast Asia. I think he'd be really effective. And that's what we're looking for right now. We're not looking for, the big names, and we're looking for guys who we think is going to be particularly effective in this kind of tournament.